Happy May, y'all! I had energy this month. Turns out you shouldn't eat nothing but protein bars. Who knew? So, things that happened this month. There was BostonFig, where I was on a panel talking with some amazing other people about various online prototyping platforms. And I was there representing Screentop GG, which is my platform of choice. And so I'm hoping we're able to get something like a podcast of that out because it was a great talk about the strengths and weaknesses of these various platforms. And I think it's worth checking out because there's a lot of really accessible options available. Screentop's my personal favorite, and in fact, if you have trouble getting your feet wet with that, I still offer guided prototyping sessions with it. I have a link to that form down below and on my website, so yeah, in case the tutorials that I have on my other YouTube channel are not enough, hit me up. I'm not affiliated with Screentop. I just think that the whole industry improves if we're using more accessible platforms. So yeah. Uh, Also in May, there is this Mosaic strict modern fantasy jam that's been going on, and I'm very intrigued by this Mosaic strict format where they're like pieces of TTRPG elements that are meant to be mixed together with other TTRPG elements, and I think that's really fascinating. The thing I brought is a game called Lēglē Binding, which is a viciously nonviolent governing force. A long time ago, I had this idea of a sort of retro-futuristic society that was governed automatically with very vicious, brutal force, like extreme punishment for minor crimes. And so this is sort of that concept adapted for a fantasy setting where there's arbiters that are enforcing the law, like these ghostly arbiters. And so the laws are very simple, don't harm others and like fulfill agreements that you make and stuff like that. But what the players do is that they add the nuance to those laws, what constitutes harm, what constitutes an agreement, and how punishment is dealt out for breaking those laws. And so I'm really happy with how that came out. Another one that I have that I'm still fleshing out is called My Former Feyce, which provides one of the players with a cultist backstory. And I'm fleshing that one out more because right now it leans a lot on the players to provide creativity and background to the cultists, and I think I want to bring a little bit more to the table myself. So yeah. Also in May was Pro Spiel Online, where I got a whole lot of playtesting done. So why don't we talk about that? The thing I tested the most was probably VelociRapture, where I finally finished all the coping mechanisms in all the micro games. And so far, the spirit of that game is very much intact. The problem is that the spirit of the game is disrespecting the micro games, and I'm kind of trying to test them. And that's good. I want people to not take the micro games too seriously. But the thing is that I still want people this is a problem when I've had people who've played the game before and they understand the conceit and they play and they know it's going to be a goofy experience. But what I'm worried about are people who are brand new to the experience and what they're going to get out of it. And so I'm worried about people who've never played it before. And if they're able to vibe with the coping mechanism, and if they know from looking at the micro games that what they're supposed to do. So that's something I kind of need to test with each game and each coping mechanism. But that's not super feasible to do at the stage I'm at. So I kind of need to do development of it. So in that vein, I finally uploaded the print and play to itch.io. So as always, those are available for optional donation. So if you're interested, check it out. Another game that I worked on a lot was Bread, or I'm very happy so far with the new victory condition of getting rid of fire instead of having a bread. The thing I'm not happy about is the emergency orders. They're not exactly working the way I want them to. Sort of pivoting to actions that are keyed off of the amount of fire you have. And I've been experimenting with different things. For a while, I was trying this thing where you could use the fire to just wreck other people. Like, if you're taken out of the game, you could take other people out of the game. But it turns out people who are bullied don't really want vengeance so much as they want a chance to win. So I needed to figure out something else. One concept I really like in theory is that you could discard everything in your tableau except for your fire, and then directly take from somebody's tableau and put it into your tableau. What I like about this is that there's always a chance for you to crawl back into the game. Like, as long as there's enough built bread, you could like make a last ditch effort to like take that and win at the end. And also gives you something that you could do if your like tableau is just like wiped out, and another reason to not like completely wreck somebody's tableau. The problem is that like it's an incredibly situational action. A lot of these things are. And so I'm playing with some graphic design changes to help remind players that they have this option. And we're just gonna have to see how that goes. Another thing that I introduced is this mechanic that I'm calling like the Famine Harbinger, which is that the event cards that are distributed, instead of those being distributed by the current active player, they're distributed by whoever is essentially losing the game. Like whoever has the most fire and the smallest tableau. So it's sort of acting like a catch-up mechanic, but it's also one more thing for the player that's being bullied to do. And I like it, kind of, but I worry that it's adding way too much complexity for what it's doing. So that one I really need to test more to get a vibe on. So that's bread. Yeah. I was also happy to get some development work done on Unraveled and Conviction. I had Conviction reviewed for sensitivity. I'm hoping to have it reviewed by one more person before making it possibly my first print published game. It might be a little too early to announce that, but yeah, I'm excited about that. Lastly, I worked on Opacity some, but that game is a real struggle. One thing that I'm experimenting with is making some space on the cards so I can have like a very brief description of what the rule does. So that way players will like have a better way of intuiting what the cards do when they're changing the rules. So I'm hoping that helps. Another thing that I'm experimenting with is giving the rules steps like icons, so that it's possible to swap out multiple rules as long as you're not breaking dependencies. But if you get enough cards into the representatives, you could like swap out an entire like mechanic for like a completely different, like you could change like very core parts of the game, because right now the steps are very dependent on certain things happening. And so I split it up into 3 groups of 3. One for like the game layer, one for the round layer, and then one for the trial or trick layer. And so that way it's possible to change out the entire trick-taking mechanic for like a completely different one, as long as it still like fits within the round structure and stuff like that. So I'm excited for that, but at the same time I haven't thought of anything yet, so I don't know how realistic that's gonna be. So yeah, it's a work in progress. That's pretty much everything that happened in May. In June, on the 21st, I'm going to be on the Meeple Syrup show, talking about inclusivity, so maybe check that out. Otherwise, you have a good one. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Ciao. Sorry, I got a cough drop. Never know how to end these. You like my shirt? It's like a upcycled like crop like plaid shirt. I'm really into plaid lately. I like it.